All right, good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Have a word of prayer and then we'll do the pledge. Father, thank you for this day and your blessings. God, thank you for your goodness and all that you've done for this school and this school system. God, I ask right now that you would give us wisdom this morning as we go over the budget. God, just help us to do the right things, God, and the best things for this school system. And we thank you for that. Give us a great day. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have our consent items: overnight field trip, football camp, overnight field trip, girls high school basketball, overnight field trip for live team camp. Have any questions about those? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent item by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? All right, our next item is Athens Digital.
Okay. All right, before you see my recommendation. What I've done is I contacted three different vendors to bid on our new contract proposal. Our proposal ends November 30th. 4 years ago, we signed an agreement with Athens Digital in April. However, that was COVID year, so the equipment and all of the things to set up that contract was not fully in operation until November. So it's from November until now, November 30th of 25. Athens Digital approached me about renewing early so that we can kind of get around the tariff issue, get around the increase in cost issues. So he submitted a proposal, and then I reached out to two other vendors. And in speaking with those two vendors, they were going to send me a quote, but they did not send the quote. They said there's no way that they could compete with his buyout clause. So the buyout clause for them would have been 15 or 20 more thousand more than the buyout clause for this particular company, since they already had the contract. And both agreed of not submitting a proposal. One came on site, he looked at every machine, but he still refused to give a quote. And then the other company out of Augusta said the same thing. He could send it to me, but he know that there is no way he can even compete with the quote that's listed. Right now, we pay $2,698.93 for black and white a month. And then in the previous contract, the color copies were billed annually. So it was to the district's surprise a couple of years ago when they got a bill for $12,302 for 2 years of back color copies. So they sent us that all at once. So what I did, I divided the $12,000 by the 24 months, and you come up with $512.62 a month that it would cost us for color. So our current contract, $2,698.93 plus the $512.62 gives us a monthly total of $3,211.55. So this shows just a 4% increase from the previous contract that was from 2021. So I think that's a great offer for us. Right now, we don't know where we land with tariffs over the next couple of months. So I think we need to go ahead and get in front of it and in front of all of the increased costs. So my recommendation is to accept the Athens Digital contract for a 5-year agreement for $3,351.92. This includes the black and white and the color copies. We also ran a report, and we realized we were not using the 2.5 million copies, but we were paying for it. So what we've done is we've backed off, after looking at the reports for 4 years, to 2.25 million. So that's going to save the district as well. And of course, we'll make sure that there's a system in place where we can give each teacher, each building, so many copies so that they don't go over. And they would have to request any copies from us when they go over.
Any question? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve Athens Digital for the copy renewal proposal.
I'll make a motion that we accept Athens Digital.
I have a motion by Mr. Madison, second. Second by Ms. Daniel, all in favor? Thank you. All right, next item is our public hearing, fiscal year 26 budget.
All right, good morning. It is budget season, and it has been for the past month. Some good changes in here. Don't be alarmed right off the bat by the $1 million deficit because of some things that have already been approved, and we'll get into that. So just looking through this budget compared to the last one that we got approved, the amended budget we got approved in March. It is some drastic changes. As you can see right off the bat, the first one is our QBE. We had almost $1 million QBE increase. I would like to thank our administration for that. I don't know what all goes into that, but the way we code our FTE, it worked. So that's a huge plus for us. Obviously a lot more expenses. The biggest one is gonna be our land, and we'll dive further into that.
You said the QBE went up $1 million, almost?
$924,000 is what our initial is. And I will show you, we can look at it now. So here's our allotment sheet, and I'll go ahead and hit the bottom. We have 818K of equalization. Our sparsity doubled. Our transportation went up from like 380 to 506. But this number right here was 9.9 million. And this is with the exact same FTE. Our FTE was 1195 last year, and it's 1195 again.
Do you know where we fell at on the equalization? Were we close to not getting it, or you don't?
I emailed to get our calculation because we were told it's public knowledge as soon as the governor signs the bill, and I have not received it yet, so I don't know where we stand. Do you know?
I do have an email from, his name just left me,
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith, and he did the calculations for us. I think we went from 67th, I think we're 60-something, and now we're at 80 in the mid-80s.
Wow.
So we got poor as a district.
That's good.
Yeah.
It had to be, what was it, 53 was the, I
Cutoff.
think 53 was the cutoff.
So we don't know where the cutoff is this year, and they actually reduced the total amount of equalization across the state. So we're very fortunate to get almost $300,000 more in equalization. And I would say Dr. Cunningham and her team, special ed, are making sure our kids are coded in the right disability category. Also, our remedial kids, you get so many, you allow so many students in remedial classes. And if they are in remedial class, you want to make sure you get the funding for it. And so we were able to allocate those students in the right courses to get the appropriate funding for that. So those data conferences every year are important. I think they're coming up in August. And so we try to send at least 2 people there so to make sure we are maximizing our funds.
Also with Gifted, we
Gifted,
really
yes.
get Gifted heavy this year too.
Yes.
So that is the positive for the budget so far. If we want to look at some changes, where is that sheet? Here we go. So I just went through, and every change I made, I put a summary of the hit or the positive benefit to the budget. So as you can see right off the bat, green is good. We had a $924,000 increase in our QBE. So going through this 1 year experience, that's adding a year of experience to every employee. It costs us around $135,000. Insurance, I don't know when insurance ends, and this is a typo, it should be 1885. So for last year's budget, our certs were at 1760, so the hit isn't as bad. But for our non-certs, they were at 1195 for half the year and 1,580 for the second half of the year. So the actual budget hit is a huge change. I mean, it's $500,000.
So is that what it costs our district, 1885 per,
1885
per
every-
person?
Per person.
it's
Per
not
month.
certified,
Per
per
month.
month? How about the teachers? Do we get money from the state or
We do,
certified?
so, where is that sheet? It was just on the
You
allotment
still don't get
sheet.
enough for the teachers, though, do we?
We do not, so we get 1.8 million of health insurance for the teachers. Okay, yeah, you go. But we are only funded for, 87 teachers, along with a few, that would be 87, 88, where are we total? We probably get funding for around 95 total teachers and admin, and we have around 110 total. So we're a good 12 to 15 under full funding.
So what's that cost us a month?
Insurance wise, I mean, it would only be, that 10% of it, so, but I mean, that'd be 1,880 times 12 employees.
So 2,000 times 12, about 24,000.
It's in here if you look. If you
I
read it,
ain't
if you
got my
read it,
glasses.
if you read it,
He's back.
So I don't know where the end is to health insurance. I don't know what the next step is, but this is a huge problem. I don't understand how it continues to increase like this, and this one right here is an unfunded mandate. They tell us what we have to pay, but they do not fund a penny of it.
I just wanted everybody in TV land to know it, Chris.
That's right.
so that's almost 500,000.
That's $500,000.
Yeah.
Just
You
short.
know how much of the 1880 that we get money from the state for?
I think they fund it fully up to that teacher number, so we only have.
Okay, so they do fund
Non-certified's
it.
all local.
Yeah,
They
that's
do
right.
fund that fully,
Right.
but they don't fund the non-certified, and then they don't fund the extra teachers.
Right, so
I got
they
you.
fund 87.02 teachers, regular teachers.
Yeah, okay.
So who are all the non-certs for TV land?
That would be our accounting
Parapros,
department, our
bus drivers,
parapros, bus drivers,
custodians.
Custodian,
maintenance, custodians, school food. It's a lot.
It's a
100
big group of
employees.
people we got
Yeah,
to
it's-
have.
It's
a big
100
group of people, yeah.
employees
Yeah.
at $1,900 a month. So going back in, we had a few teachers increase their certification. I think we had one at the elementary school, one at the high school, and our psychologist is now a doctorate. The other hit this year from the government, from the state, is TRS. It went from 20.78% to 21 point, that's another typo, it should be 21.91%. But that is another $100,000 increase. I know that at times, there was talk of TRS helping state health, but if they continue to increase their, monthly allocation, I don't see how they could help fund another sector. In the prior budget, I budgeted around $70K for interest on our CDs. As you know, we, opened a new CD this year with, Farmer State Bank, and I'm expecting a good, $30K extra out of that from last year's budget to this year. It's not $30K total, but a $30K addition to the budget. Rental income went down just because Bill Ringer closed. The only rental income we have now is facility rentals, and they're, $100 an event,
$200.
$200 an event. That's a small decrease. Our debt service, so I boosted our SPOS collections 100K. We were right at 100K a month, but our last few months have been well over that, and this is just a pure speculation, but I boosted it to 1.3 million, which is like 108K a month. either way, I don't think that hurts us anyway. Our SPOS is, you know, it seems to be pretty steady, and I don't think that amount matters much anyway, because there's a huge surplus in our SPOS and bond currently. This capital projects number, on the prior budget, I had a $20,000 expense for M&O, and it was just there to spend on anything approved by capital projects. I boosted that to 75K. The only reason is we have 150 grand in there, and I know y'all have talked about some projects. That was just a general number to throw in there of, is where that would leave us. So if we did move another 50 next year as we normally do, spent 75, we would still have 125K in capital projects. So this number could fluctuate. It could go, you know, to whatever y'all approve. All right, then we get into department adjustments. So these are very, you know, just summarized, but we will go into each one. So the first one is transportation. And I don't know if everybody was aware, but Dr. Gummy and I met with every department head this year and went through each line item in their budget. So this is what you're seeing now. So right off the bat, we went through, and if somebody didn't know what the expense was or why they were being charged that, we looked up each vendor, looked up why. Biggest one here is transportation, and is insurance, and you do not see it as much on the transportation side, but our insurance went up about 65K last year, and it's going up another 48K this year. Once again, the entire insurance world, I don't know where it is.
That's on the vehicles.
That's on everything. The
Everything.
vehicles only went up, this $4,300, but the other side went up 60K.
The buses.
No, the property and
Facilities and all that.
everything. No, this transportation is, this insurance is buses and the few vehicles we have. And I put in, I think I put in an extra 5K this year with the addition of the new truck and for part of this 48K. But I don't understand how it's went up over $100,000 in the last 2 years. I don't know where. Is there an end in sight on insurance is my question.
As long as we keep getting them hurricanes, we're not.
That's health insurance, that's property, and, every insurance is outrageous right now. Other than that, no real changes. Our propane seems to be working wonders for our fuel. We had 160,000 budgeted for this, FY25, and we are nowhere close to it, so it dropped to 120, and that is the major difference. And there is a small decrease from the amended budget to this budget, and that difference is basically in propane versus the increase in a new bus. So we have 2 new buses in here. The state will give us the 176,000. But the other cost went from 120 to 145, so it went up about 12.5 a bus in a year. 12,000.
Savings on the propane almost bought the truck then.
Correct.
So we buy one bus or 2?
It's in the budget for 2, but that is
That's one, right?
no sir. This is 2. I think a bus is.
Okay, I see now.
A bus is about 160K a piece. Last year they were 145, 147, somewhere in there.
They were 90 when I got on the board 8 years ago.
I mean,
And
it
if we do get 2, we'll be fully propane fleet
And air conditioning.
and air
and air
conditioning. Yes, sir.
conditioning. The state has funding for 2, that's the 176K, and we have to come out of pocket of 145. So I threw that in there. Obviously, we don't have to do it. I think our transportation department is pushing to do it, but at the end of the day, that's y'all's decision.
Who do we have our vehicle insurance and our property insurance with?
It's still with, Gary Calloway with Franklin.
Have we shopped it around any?
We're going to,
I was gonna say. Yeah.
I think it's too late now because it's due July 1st, but I don't think we could get all the bids in time for a budget meeting, but this next year we're definitely gonna have to.
It's probably not gonna be a lot of difference, but
I don't
you
think
still
so.
need to, just say we did.
I think everybody's taking the hit, but we would definitely shop it next year.
Yeah.
For transportation, next is maintenance. Obviously, you see the maintenance number of 223K. Some of that is, a lot of that is the insurance, and I will explain. So looking straight out, a lot of our utilities are the same. We did increase our repairs at the high school, and that is due to, you know, the tennis court resurfacing, tennis court fence, some of the storm damage. I know he's had some HVAC issues too that he's been working through. So that was one of the big increases. We did not put anything at the old school, but we left a note out there about the demolition of the Bell Ringer building. That is not included, obviously. You see it's only $32,000. But the biggest one is to the budget, and this, how do I say this? I only had budgeted last year for $60K for insurance. That's what it was 2 years ago. And then it went up to 130, so it was almost $70,000 hit to this account, and it hit, you know, right at July, and it's going up another 48K. So I boosted it from 130 to 175 and put the other difference on the transportation side. So that's where a lot of his budget is. So when you see the 223, the basically $225,000 hit to general fund, part of that is 175 minus the 60, so 115 of that is just an insurance adjustment for the budget.
48% increase. That's crazy.
I mean, it's been like 25 to 30% over the past 5 years, but it's all been the last 2 years. So I don't know if it planes back out after that, or does it continue to skyrocket? Helene obviously
Well,
did-
values of everything have gone up so much too.
Values are up. Helene obviously didn't help anything.
No.
Although we only had like one claim for that, didn't we? Or did we even have one? Did we just pay?
We just paid for the
Paid out
tennis
of
courts.
pocket.
Yeah.
It don't matter, it's all blended in.
I was gonna say, you paying for everybody else's claim.
Yeah. The insurance has got a certain profit that they want across the board, and they're gonna get it,
Yeah, I agree.
and you got to have it,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Other than that, no real hit to maintenance. There's small things, you know, electricity bills, I'm sure will continue to climb a hair. Our custodial supplies, we increased because she ran over this year. I think the cost of the wax and the stripping for the floors is doubled. I mean, I think this number does include groundskeeping. I think it does include the retention ponds. But that's basically, his budget was basically $115,000 hit to insurance and another $100,000 for tennis courts and retention ponds. And we could move some of that to capital projects if, you know, if y'all thought that was best.
When are they gonna do the retention ponds?
Just waiting on approval from this board. We have 3 quotes already. There's one guy who's out of work, so he gave us a real good deal. So just whenever this board really wants to get it done. But they are in bad shape. Have a lot of growth in those ponds.
Yeah, it probably should have been done
Yes, sir.
7, 8 years ago.
I'm sure.
So that is maintenance. Next is CTAE, not a huge change here. It is a plus to the district, and you can take it as a plus, but Ms. Aycock had a rural development grant last year, a rural workforce development grant, and it was only a one-time deal, and we're not receiving it this year, so that's why it's a plus. She had some small upcharges for supplies and equipment, but overall, her budget went down due to that grant. There's not much there. School food. School nutrition, we sat down and realized that I probably over budgeted a little bit for our food usage, which kind of doesn't make 100% sense to me with how many meals we are serving. So we decreased some food. These charges, this food acquisition, we were receiving funds for the state, or that's actually federal, and we are no longer receiving as much. And I think part of it is our swap to the CEP program. So those are two major decreases in her budget. But the other ones are the food usage. And that's really it. So her budget is pretty sound, and we are still receiving more state funding than we are spending. Technology did not have as many projects for this fiscal year upcoming. So you can see all of these expendable equipment pro, that's expendable computer equipment projects, have almost been cut in half in each one. And that is because he has done so many in the past 2 or 3 years. We're kind of caught up at the moment on the majority of them. That's where a huge decrease in his budget was. Say 4th and 5th grade went from $77K to $28K. Any questions over technology? So our curriculum director, Mr. Williams, he is in charge of most of the textbooks and staff development, and just not a lot of change. I know 1st through 3rd increase, 4th and 5th decrease, but overall just not any real material changes. As you can see, 4th and 5th spent most of theirs this year, is why theirs decreased for next year. Dr. Cunningham's budget, she can tell you a little more than I can, but a lot of hers is our contracted services. We are increasing from 2 days a week to 3 days a week, is that correct?
For contracted services?
Ms. Biggs.
Oh, speech, yes. So that is with speech, and I need a moment to refamiliarize myself with it. Really big expenditures increases. The OT and the PT, we're
Right.
increasing
I hear
PT 1 hour a week. OT should be about the same, I think it was a wash. And then we're gonna have some new, testing materials that are coming out for psychology, so we had to increase those supplies with it. And then we put a lot of additional things in for our nursing and for our school health. School nursing, we need to beef up their professional learning, especially as we're taking on a new school nurse full-time at the middle and the high school. Historically, they've not been going to professional learning, so we want to make sure with all the mandates that are coming down from the state that they are well versed with that in terms of diabetes, seizures, asthma, allergies, and the new cardiac teams requirement that's coming down, as well as our school safety. There's a lot of mandates, as you know, from the governor with that. So we're doing a lot of CPR training, AED training, crisis training with them. So in that, you can see some of the things that we're spending towards it. And then as well as just some additional, expenses for their travel and such.
And to my understanding, we have already completed these CPR and AED trainings, but we're leaving them in the budget for, is this an annual deal?
This is an annual, this one is actually the one that we're gonna do in July
Okay.
23rd. So we are going to be training, 24 of our staff members. We did train 24 of our bus drivers and custodians back in early May. So our goal is to have as many people on hand that are CPR and AED trained. Dr. Gumby has purchased AEDs from the school safety grant, so we'll be putting those out. We're gonna have one at the football field, and then we are updating the ones that we've had currently.
So some much needed changes to sped. And bigger. Alright, so Dr. Gumby obviously has the most under his plate. Couple big changes, our SROs. As you know, we, increased our hourly rate of pay for our SROs, so that's the major jump here. The other biggest one, the insurance is also on here on Dr. Gumby's. We're actually gonna move some of those off of the teachers, not teachers, the principals were seeing them. And like the electricity and stuff, but I think Dr. Gumby and, Mr. Jeff Miller are more over it, so we're moving some of those to his budget, so that's why you see an increase here. It's already included on the maintenance scale, but it's in here as well. But the land acquisition is the biggest change here. So although it's a big number, it's really just the 700K that we approved back in January or February. And it's my understanding that we won't know that until 2026, correct? Like in the year 2026, not fiscal year. Wasn't it like a 14-month push out before we close or something?
November of this year.
Okay, it's November. All right, I was gonna say, if it was pushed back, then we would receive our tax funding before it is owed. But
We'll receive it right after then.
we may have to dip into a CD for that. All the bond stuff is pretty standard. That is the principal we'll pay off next year. Paid off a little over $1 million this year and almost 1.1 next year. pretty standard. The school adjustments, I do not have really any documentation on it, so we allocate funding for our principals to spend on their staff for supplies and stuff based on their FTE. And each school's FTE increased, so they got a little extra spending. That's what those numbers are. The middle school has a really big class this year, which is, we had to add a teacher at the middle school as well. So if you get into our employee adjustments, these major changes are more insurance related than anything. So I went through and compared our April insurance, our actual insurance cost with who was budgeted for it. And I had to add a few out of our general fund, which would be our teachers or maintenance, but some of our school food were budgeted for, but are actually not receiving health insurance, so that's the huge increase there. So decrease to our insurance, but an increase to our budget, or a benefit to our budget. And it was the same thing at the high school. We have a few new teachers at the high school that I'm budgeting that they receive insurance versus some that left that did not have them. And the final thing was a formatting error. So our coaching supplements did not increase by $93,000. It's already up. So I'll just walk through this and we'll get to the coaching supplements. This is just a general overview of local supplements, just gross and then with benefits. Our board office, I know, is experiencing some changes, so this may not be entirely correct. This is as it was, before today's meeting. Our principal and assistant principal supplements have not changed. They're the same as last year. All of this is, at your discretion. The only thing is the new middle school principal and assistant principal. Not much change at the high school either. I did not change any monetary funds. The only major change is our musical theater. Mr. Smith and Ms. Hobbins are passing the torch on. These are all grant funded. Middle school, no change here. No change to the elementary school. And this is our local teacher supplement based on, your ranking, whether you're T4, T5, you'll be a master's, T6 specialist, T7 doctorate, and your years of experience. This has not been changed since I was here. Granted, I've only been here for 3 budgets now. I don't know if there's, any incentive for you guys to look at. I could run some numbers for you before the next board meeting, but that's totally at your discretion. And here's our athletic supplement. So to summarize, we're at 192,000. I think last year we were low 180s, 182 or so. Part of that is just extended years. So we include our extended year, and it's a calculation based off of their state pay. Their state pay increased a little bit, so their extended year increased a little bit. And I think we kind of flatlined some expenses. We want to make sure people were on equal playing field. So like our football coordinators make the same amount. I think most middle school sports make the same amount now. I think every high school coach gets at least $2,000. If they're a head coach, maybe it's at least $2,500. So just a few small changes, but nothing major. Now the issue with the budget sheet, that was a formatting error. It wasn't picking up all of our athletic supplements. It's also why our pupil services have been over in our monthly financials. I caught that looking at this massive Excel sheet. I know we have a few open positions and still a lot of community coaches. But really, no, I mean, it's a $10,000 change here max. Local bus driver pay is the same as it was last year. There's no increase, and we pay route pay based on mileage. So some get no additional route pay if they just have like a town route. Some get a small amount. There's like a none, a small, a medium, and then like an extra long route. And that's only an extra $13,000 that we paid. So a total of $70,000 for bus drivers. That may be something to look into, because I know we're struggling to fill bus drivers. Still an open maintenance supplement for the high school. I know we talked about that last year as to why. So this is a potential expense, but as of right now, we will not have to pay that. And that's all local. So all in all, pretty good budget. The biggest thing is the insurance, the land, but we were already prepared for that. So $1 million deficit, I mean, it does sound bad, but we knew 700 of it was coming instantly. So really a $300,000 deficit over what we were already prepared for.
And that full amount's due in November, you said?
November, early December.
Have you talked to Miss Amerson? She handling the closing on all that?
She is.
Also, these fund balance numbers are as of March 31st. For the next hearing, I will probably put April 30th balances on there. But these are up-to-date numbers, obviously not July 1st, because we have not gotten there. And that should be 2025.
Do we have our November ballot ready?
That's it.
When's it gotta be due?
July.
1st?
That's pretty important, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we wanna make sure we get that on there, pay for that land.
Any other questions regarding the budget? I put through everything I have.
Did a good job. It's pretty
Yeah.
detailed. I like it.
Spent a lot of time on it. Spent a lot of time this weekend. It is, I found a lot of, kinks and errors. I'm not gonna say errors, but a lot of things that I didn't understand when I got into it that are now corrected and they flow into the budget correctly. It should make it a lot easier to amend and a lot easier to move forward.
Even answer questions now, isn't it?
A lot easier.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
How many line items was it?
It's like 1,280 budget items and
Yes,
another,
sir.
Wow.
another 300.
It's a lot easier for me to ask questions too. I feel like Chris almost with all this detail we have.
It was good though, because we went through every department line item, so there was no department went miss, nothing was looked over. We can account for every expense, which is obviously what you want, so it's
Yeah.
But insurance is the major.
on both, on health insurance, property insurance, they're just I don't know where the end is.
It's not.
You know,
Doge, y'all Doge.
Yeah, and when we met with the department heads, there were discussions, and they had to tell us why they wanted this and show proof. So it was a real good effort to make sure we account for every single penny dollar.
makes it a whole lot easier when you audit the next go around too.
Yes, sir.
It does. Yeah, we have proof of everything. It was good stuff. A lot didn't like it, but tough conversations are always good. I think all I need is a tentative vote.
That's correct.
Any other
Official
questions?
vote, it's just the tentative.
If no other questions about the budget, I'll entertain a motion to, on the tentative budget for fiscal year 26.
I'll make a motion.
Motion
Move
by
it presented.
Mr. Heitman for tentative budget. Second. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Norman. Well, good job on that. Next item is the date of the board meeting for the next hearings.
All right. Can you pull it up, Mr. Norman? So the next date, today was the first hearing. The second hearing will be on June 10th at 4:30. And then the board meeting will be held for adoption of the 2026 budget at 5 o'clock.
And that's the regular scheduled meeting, correct?
Regular scheduled meeting, yes, sir.
So I'll probably present, PowerPoint any big items again, and then present new items that come up in the next 2 weeks, and then that'll probably conclude the 30 minutes, and we can be open for discussion again.
All right, I need a motion to go to executive session.
I'll make a motion, we go to executive session.
I'd like to call this meeting back to order. Superintendent has recommended, and I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Michael Williams as the Federal Programs and Curriculums Director. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Crystal Hodges as a bus monitor. Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? And I would like to announce that we have a transfer. Dr. Benton Cunningham will be the Assistant Superintendent of Federal Programs, Curriculum, and Safety, and Dr. Cassidy Stein will now be the Director of Special Services. And I need a motion to adjourn. By Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Madison. Thank you all very much for your time today.
In 2
And
weeks.
we will be back here on the 10th.